So I decided to film some promos today to promote the channel on YouTube. And as you can hear behind me, this is the time that my neighbors decide to yell and scream at each other. Essentially, this has been an ongoing awful thing with my neighbors, where these men get loaded and then come to her apartment and bang on her door incessantly. I don't know how much of this is being captured. It is crazy how many times per week this happens. It happens almost every day, essentially. And they just yell at each other, try to get in. Multiple occasions, the man tries to break down her door. And it's triggering for me. And it sucks. And I hate having to hear it. I hate having to live in a building where this is occurring, knowing that she keeps letting them back every time. They do this, she forgives them, and the cycle continues. And, I've been in this cycle myself on so many occasions. Maybe not quite as loud for the neighbors to hear, but definitely privately in my own home. And so it is triggering to hear it, because I've been there. Mentally, I've been there with yelling and screaming like this, and in the middle of my recording, I'm just like, I just have to breathe through it and not let my anger get the best of me, because I'm not really angry at them. They're doing what they do, right? They do what humans do, which is, if they're stuck in the addiction and codependency cycle, this is not going to stop. This is going to continue to happen. All I can do really is control how I react to it and how I respond to this type of stimuli. So a lot of times what I'll do is I have to take some deep breaths and kind of ground myself, because there's still something that's very real about a man yelling that's really hard for me to think. I have this trauma response of freezing or completely shutting down, and I can feel it coming. As soon as the yelling begins, it's like a poison going through my body. I lose complete control over my ability to reason with myself. I get angry, which seems like an odd response, but given what I've been through in my life, the anger is something that my body has used as a defense mechanism. So when I start to get triggered, anger is a very big part of that. And that's part of my codependency as well. I've been in relationships where I just get angrier and angrier and angrier as the partner that I've chosen continues to not change and be the person that they are. And I can't cope with that. I'm like, I'm giving you all this help and I'm doing all of these things and you're still staying the same. And I get so angry, right? That partner has been lying to me the entire time, right? They're an addict. That's what they do. It's not something you can change in a person, but damn, do we try. And so hearing my neighbors going through this, I see her codependency and I see myself, and that's why I'm angry. I'm not angry at them. I'm not even angry that they're interrupting my video. What I'm angry at is I see a version of myself that needs fixing. And that's where the anger comes from, right? So they've stopped yelling now. Things have calmed down. I'm calm. Talking through it has really helped. But I just wanted to hop on here and kind of give like a live reaction video of what that can be like, right? Before now, when a man would yell, I would be in tears, shaking, in shambles, right? Like, luckily for me, this is something that's happening on the outside of my apartment, and I feel safe because this is my home. There was a situation, I would say, during the pandemic, basically. We were in a grocery store, my partner and I at the time. We were in a grocery store, and a man came in and he was yelling, and the lady was like telling him to put his mask on, and he just is screaming and doesn't want to do that, and just like storms in the store, and people are following, and he's yelling and he's taking stuff off the shelves, and I can't do anything. I'm frozen in my spot, right? Like, I can't move, I can't reason, I can't think. Like, it is literally like I'm frozen in cement, and I can't do anything about it. Even though there's nothing stopping me from fleeing or turning the other way or plugging my ear, like I can't do anything. I'm just stuck. And my partner at the time is just like, come on, let's go. And then, you know, he like can see that I'm worried. So then instead of comforting me, he's like, well, I'm gonna go tell that guy a piece of my mind. And that makes me panic, because now I go into a response of like wanting to protect my partner. Even though he's completely capable of taking care of himself, I want to protect him. So instead of like responding rationally, I yell at him for wanting to yell at the guy, right? This is not the way to handle it, but this was my response in the moment. Like, no, don't go over there. Instead of saying, I'm worried that this guy is going to hurt you, I yelled at him. I said, don't be stupid, you know, because I went from frozen response to anger, right? Because when I'm triggered, I'm frozen or I'm angry. Like, those are my two modes. And it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing because in my day-to-day life, I'm not an angry person. I'm really not. But in my trauma responses, I am very angry, and it's insatiable. That it feels insatiable. Like, and I read something recently that it's because with codependency, your only outlet when you're in a codependent relationship with someone, your only outlet is fantasy or anger. Those are your two options. And you fantasize a lot. Like, you build up that relationship with your codependent partner, and you fantasize about what your beautiful future will be when he's better, and when he stops lying to you and fixes the addiction. Like, everything's gonna be magical and you're gonna live happily ever after. But when you're faced constantly with the truth, your anger is activated, because you're working against something inside of you that you know to your core that it's not going to work, but you cannot stop. You're just as sick as your addict that you're with. Like, people don't understand that. And even I didn't understand that, like how sick I was in my codependent relationship. And it was the same way when I was married as well, like constantly trying to like prove my worth through doing things and acts of service. And like, I was nothing if my partner wasn't telling me that I was something, and he never told me I was something. So I was constantly at a deficit, like working, right? And you become used to that. So when you start to date normal, healthy people, you're looking for the chaos and you don't find it. And so you're like, well, I guess the spark's not there, right? I guess the spark's not there because we're not fighting, because he's not jealous, because I don't feel the need to fix. So why am I here? when that becomes your purpose in a relationship, to fix somebody, or you're fantasizing about who they could be instead of who they actually are, man, it spells disaster. And you end up in codependent cycles like this couple next door. And right now I'm single, and I'm not codependent on anybody. And I have to tell you, it felt in the first 30 days like getting sober. You become addicted to that lifestyle that you created. You become addicted to trying to help the person. You become addicted to the thought cycles that happen when you're not together with that person. Instead of lovingly thinking about them with adoration, admiration, being inspired by them, feeling whole, instead, you're thinking about what they're probably doing to fuck their life up. Well, he's probably using drugs right now because he went dark on me for hours and then pops up like nothing happens. Or he might be cheating on me, right? I keep seeing Snapchats from, on his phone when I'm ordering food from women. And those thought processes roll and roll and roll. And if you've been with an addict long enough, you start to learn their patterns and their behavior, and it's hard to ignore. I would find things, you have the proof staring you in the face, and I could hold the pills that he was taking in my hand and still somehow convince myself that he was sober and he wasn't lying to me, right? In the same way, when I was married, my partner was so angry all the time and constantly taking out his anger on me. He had gained a bunch of weight, and that clearly had an effect on him because he hated it. And it was almost like he hated me for not hating him for it, because I didn't care about the weight. It didn't bother me. I loved him. I'm like, I love you for who you are, yada, yada, yada. I was just codependent, but I never had, I knew he was a bad person. I knew it. He constantly gave me example after example after example. He put his hands on me. Perfect example of somebody, right? I don't know how to explain what happens in your brain when you're codependent, but you hold on to that fantasy for dear life. That fantasy that you built up in your head of what that person could be and what your relationship could be if they could just get rid of this addiction or just get rid of this, right? And you have so much hope. That's the sadness in the majority of codependency, is that you hold on to so much hope. You hope every day that they prove you wrong. And you want to be the person that's there when they become their best self. And part of you grieves that you're probably not going to be that person. Hell, they may never change. And it's sad. It's sad, and you grieve while being in the relationship still. You grieve. Have you ever grieved the loss of somebody before you've even lost them? It's a hard thing. And you know that at any moment you could walk away. But you don't. You stay. And you stay and you stay and you stay. Until you're ready to walk away. And that's what my neighbors are going through. And I hope for them that one day she just decides that's enough. Because that's the place you have to get to. It's the same thing if you're an addict. I'm in recovery myself. You have to get to the that's enough stage. When you're ready and you say that's enough and you mean it with every fiber of your being, it is enough and you are done. And you can be done and stay done. And that's what I created Girl vs. World for. It was for people like you who are now on the internet looking for solutions because you've had enough. You are done. And you are ready to move on to the next chapter of your life. If you're ready to do that, I want to help you do that. I want to give you tools. I want to give you advice. I want to give you the gift of understanding that you're not alone. That also other people have been through this and gotten to the other side. That you'll have a community and people who understand. And that's what Girl vs. World is about. That's why I created it. That's my mission. And I hope that you subscribe, follow me on the social medias, comment, send me DMs, whatever it takes. Because at the end of the day, you're worth it. I'm worth it. And loving ourselves and loving each other is what makes the world go around. Thank you.